Welcome back to AllGen Academy. So today we're going to talk about one other component of the financial freedom calculation and journey, and that's accumulated assets. We've talked about income streams, we've talked about inflation, taxes, but one of the pieces that most people focus in on is this piece, which is accumulation of assets. So if you've done planning with us, I'm going to refer you to the trail map, and you'll see the red circle area. This is where we focus in on calculating, after we've taken into account potential income streams, etc., how much you need to accumulate, okay? So when we look at this number, there's various ways to accumulate assets for the long term, okay? And you'll see vehicles such as 401k, 403bs, I know all these letters and numbers, and all those are tax codes in the IRS code, tax lines, okay? But there's the IRA, Roth IRA, different types of retirement vehicles, if you will, okay?
And it's important to know that the accumulated assets portion, if you want to really provide yourself a greater level of financial freedom, the majority of it is going to come, a good portion of it is going to come in this area. So this is the part where you can really make a difference in your financial freedom.
That's exactly right. As we talked in the other video about income streams, less and less people are getting pensions, private pensions from companies, and we don't know what's going to happen with Social Security. So there's going to be a big onus on us to save more, which is this piece of the video, accumulated assets. Right. Okay. So, and the amount of money you need to accumulate is inversely correlated to the amount of income streams. As we talked in the income streams, if you have more income streams, that means you need to invest less. But as we just finished saying, income streams are starting to diminish, so you're probably going to have to increase your accumulation amount.
So the onus goes on, with if you have like 401k or 403b, IRAs, Roth IRAs, and
real estate,
different taxable investment accounts. These are the portions that we're talking about right now.
That's exactly right. Now the good news is, although this may sound like doom and gloom, bad news about the income streams, accumulated assets provide more flexibility because you're more in control of when you take it, how you take it, things of that nature.
That's right. Okay? Not only could you create kind of a pension if you wanted to,
that's right,
but you also, if you needed a lump sum of money to pull at any given time, you potentially have that ability too.
That's right. So here's some of the factors to take into account in accumulation. How much you accumulate depends on various factors. One is savings, okay? The time, so how much I'm going to save. Time horizon, how much, your time is your friend or your ally or your enemy. So the more time you have, the better, okay? And then the investment returns. This talks about, and you're going to talk about this with asset allocation and portfolio construction, but investment returns, these considerations, these elements make a difference in how much you need to save and accumulate, okay? So when we take into account, the first one is contributions. What do you and I have to put away for our financial freedom, okay? And it's, a lot of people, this is tough because you're the portfolio guy and your job is to maximize our investment return, right? Yet I always tell people it's not so much how much you earn in your investments, but it's how much you save. That has such a greater impact, especially when you're starting off, okay, on your future accumulation than the actual, did you make 6 or did you make 7? Did you make 7 or 8? Well, did I put 20 or did I put 30,000?
Right. So, I mean, obviously the investment returns make a difference,
Absolutely.
But the issue is, do you have the ability to be disciplined through your lifetime with that consistent savings over time instead of that mentality that I'm going to buy the next Apple, I'm going to buy the next hot stock, and that's the way I'm going to get there. It's not about that. It's about that disciplined savings over time.
That's exactly right. So there's different types of contributions and they have different impacts on income taxes, and we had a whole section on income taxes, so I'll refer you to that lesson, but just keep that in mind, okay, that some are pre-tax, some are after-tax, and those have there's something to consider there. But the goal is to save a higher percentage of our income, a steady percentage. And we've talked about budgeting and making sure that you budget savings for yourself and investing for yourself. We as a country, United States, have had one of the lowest savings rates, compared to European countries, compared to Asian countries, and that makes a big difference, when we retire.
Yeah, so we use a general rule of thumb here of trying to save at least 15 to 20% of your income. And people are like, wow, that's a lot of money. How do I do that? Well, a big part is if you have your foundation in place, you don't have any debt payments, no car payments, no student loan payments, and then even as we kind of get even further in, if you're completely debt-free, then that 15-20% number is definitely attainable, and actually even potentially more.
And potentially more. And there's this whole FIRE movement. We've done a Money Minute video on that. They're saying, save 50% of your income, all that type of stuff. So this number is becoming a lot more attractive now that you hear those numbers. And understand, if on average we pay 15 to 20% in taxes to Uncle Sam, how much more should you not think about paying that to yourself first? Okay, so that's just something to consider moving forward. And the dollar amounts, again, are important as far as, and when we say timing here, it's not timing the market, it's how much time you have.
Right, and a component with those contributions, the more you can make those automatic, the better. So whether it's like a 401k and it's coming out of your paycheck, or you make an automatic contribution to your investment accounts on a monthly basis, the more you make those automatic, the more it happens.
That's right. So when we talk about timing here, next slide, the time horizon, again, time is either your friend or your enemy, right? So the more time you have, the more ability you have to accumulate more because you're putting away more, but because you're also allowing for this principle called compounding to happen with your investments. And we're going to have a whole lesson on compounding, okay? But Albert Einstein said compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. So that's how powerful this is. So starting earlier with smaller contributions is always better than starting later with larger contributions, because you don't let the compounding interest impact your investments as much.
That's a very true statement. At the same time, some people don't have the option of starting earlier.
Very true.
They wake up and they're age 55 and they don't have enough saved. So that's not to stop you or prevent you from, to cause you to give up.
Right.
But obviously, the sooner you start, the less you have to save. If you wait later, you can still do it, but you're really going to have to get after it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So time horizon is a huge consideration. Investment returns, as Jason mentioned, does have an effect, okay, over time, okay? So how your investments are invested, your portfolio allocation, where they're invested, pre-tax, after-tax, deferred interest and compounding, those make a difference on the long-term accumulation. So it's important to make sure that your investments are in alignment with your risk tolerance.
Right. I mean, especially if you think about it from the standpoint of potentially having too much in savings or CDs or some really lower interest rates. We're big believers in having an emergency fund, but beyond that, you want to try to make as much as you can as long as you're comfortable with the risk over time. Yeah.
And I want to eliminate this opportunistic mindset of, is it a good time to invest? I get that question all the time. Hey, is it a good time to invest? Or I think it's a bad time to invest. It's always a good time to invest. Okay, because the thing is, investing is not for tomorrow. It's a long-term proposition. Savings is for tomorrow. If you want to save for the next year or two, that's a savings. That's not investing. Investing is long-term. So no one knows if this is up or down year. So you always try to maximize, in dollar cost average and all that type of good stuff, which we're going to talk about as well in the future. Okay. So we talk about the importance of time and investment returns and all this in accumulating assets. Again, we're going to get deeper into these when we start talking about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, the individual holdings. But the goal here is to understand the importance of accumulating a sufficient amount of assets, okay, to reach financial freedom and sustain your desired lifestyle in conjunction with any income streams that you may have accumulated. So we hope this helps, and we look forward to seeing you in our next lesson.